Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk today about the truth about the founder of the Black Panther Party, Huey Pierce Newton. Okay, Huey Pierce Newton was born in Monroe, Louisiana. Actually, not too far, from where I grew up. Honestly, not too far from Vicksburg, Mississippi. It was about an hour and 20 minutes away. Huey Newton was named after a Louisiana politician named Huey Long, who was a populist. Huey Newton's father, Walter Newton, named him after Huey Long because Huey Long had a lot of support from a lot of black people in Louisiana. Because you could argue that Huey Long may have been racist, but he didn't engage in race baiting politics. So Huey, out of respect for Huey Long, Walter Newton, Huey's father, named him Huey. And eventually they moved their way out to Oakland, California, where Walter Newton got a job at the shipping docks in Oakland. He refused to ever let his wife, Huey's mother, work. He believed that was his job in the family. Well, anyways, Huey Newton was really good, and I'm not saying he was necessarily good in school, but he was able to read and read countless literature and countless books by W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, and then read the classics as well. He was able to quote a lot of intellectuals, but then at the same time, he was a criminal. He admits the only reason he went to college in the first place was because he wanted to know the law so he could be a better criminal. That's his admissions, not mine, and you can read that in the book Revolutionary Suicide. He's saying that, not me. And when Huey Newton started the Black Panthers, there were a lot of bad ideas he brought with to the black community. One of them was like he viewed marriage as a rigid tool of the bourgeoisie society, and that is just not a correct thing to do or to say. But he was anti-marriage, even though, he was anti-marriage a lot of times in his views. That's pretty much what happened. And also, like, within the Black Panther Party, like, technically women were equal on paper, and if you saw the news, you saw the women marching with the men, and the women would carry guns along with the men. But then at the same time, there was this Black Panther named Mary Kennedy, and her husband was a Black Panther as well, and he was having an affair with this other woman. And in order for a woman to divorce her husband, if they were both in the Black Panthers, you had to get party approval. Well, the Black Panther Party wouldn't approve it, and they just said, deal with it. And that was very common. Also, there was a lot of, you could call it rape if you wanted to, but there was like a lot of excess coercion. A lot of the male members forced said to the female members, if you're really a true Black Panther, if you're loyal to the party, that you should come have relations with him. That's what they told the members. Well, not all Black Panthers were like that, but quite a few were, actually. Also, the FBI, Hugh Pearson wrote a good book called Shadow of the Panther, and I've read that book, and I've also seen his C-SPAN interview. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of my information. Disclose that. He's an African-American moderate to conservative. But Hugh Pearson had pointed out that the FBI, their COINTEL program they were already breaking up a party that was on the verge of being broke up because there was a lot of internal strife and internal fighting with the Panthers. Like, example, the Panthers chief of staff, David Hilliard, he embezzled a lot of company funds. In David Hilliard's book, Huey, I've read that book as well. He says some things that are correct, but as far as he's not completely honest, because there were a lot of embezzlement of company funds. And were the original Black Panthers anti-white? No. The original Black Panthers viewed that it was the system at fault and not white people in general. And yes, there were white members in the Black Panther Party. There were not many, but there were some. And one of them was Betty Van Patter, and Betty Van Patter was keeping books for the Panthers, and she noticed some embezzlement of funds, that the funds weren't going to the free breakfast for children programs like they needed to. and she raised some questions about it, and there's a lot of evidence that she was pretty much killed by the Black Panther Party. David Horowitz, who's a conservative, from what I can remember, he used to be a radical leftist, but he left the Black Panther Party. He was a white Black Panther as well, and he left the Black Panther Party because he saw all that, and that's why he became a conservative. So, okay, we'll go back to Huey Newton. In 1982, the Black Panther Party was basically defunct. And Huey Newton had developed a serious crack cocaine addiction problem. And he had a bad crack cocaine addiction problem. And on August 22nd, 1989 in Oakland, he was trying to get some crack. And he just got out of jail. He was on a misdemeanor. He got out of jail, and he was on a misdemeanor of drug possession charge. Well, he didn't pay for his crack. He basically forced the crack dealers to give him crack because he said, I'm Huey Newton, I'm king of the streets, or I used to be king of the streets, I started the Black Panther Party, pay your respects to me. Well, the dealers eventually got tired of it, and there was a hit out for Huey Newton. So Huey Newton went up to this drug dealer, Tyrone Robinson, and he was going to get the crack, and Newton and his friend Willie Payne were going to go back to Huey's apartment and smoke the crack. Well, Tyrone Robinson put 3 shots into Huey Newton and killed him. And Tyrone Robinson was charged with the killing. And this is not somebody that needs to be a role model, okay? I mean, this is not somebody that needs to be a role model. Huey Newton supported, like, sexual experimentation. He was anti-marriage. He developed a huge crack addiction. And yes, he did have his PhD, but pretty much the professors, when he went to get his PhD, all Huey Newton had to basically assemble was the tapes of when he was heavily into the radical movement. And basically, and it was just a bunch of recordings of a bunch of his sayings and a bunch of his opinions, and the professors basically gave him a PhD. So, I mean, Huey Newton was not a role model. So, anyways, hope everyone's doing well. Take care. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.